Hello, my name is Richie and I want to show you guys everything that you need to know about the new Advanced Strom Controller and the Advanced Storm Beacon. So I will start off the video by explaining what the three devices are, and then I will go over the easy ways and how you can create storms with the new controller, and then I will go over the advanced version. So let's go into it. The first item that we have is the basic storm controller, and this one is the older item which was added in season 9. This one basically can just create one storm, and it also only can shrink from the outside to the inside in the center. It cannot move or do anything like that. So the new one is the Advanced Strom Controller. And this one basically can create a full replica of the battery hour storm with everything you need, moving storms and all that kind of stuff. And it basically can do that by itself without anything attached to it. But it also can create custom zones and custom storms in interaction with the Advanced Storm Beacon. So last but not least, we have the Advanced Storm Beacon, and this one is basically a customizer for each individual zone. This one does not work on itself, so you cannot spawn it in and expect something to happen. It needs the Advanced Storm Controller to do something. Let's start with the easiest way and how you can create a storm with this new Advanced Storm Controller. And basically, all you have to do to create this storm is just throw in an Advanced Storm Controller. You don't need to change anything. I'll explain to you what the settings are and what you can change on it. But if you just want the exact replica of a battery hour storm, all you have to do is just, spawn it in. The only thing that is quite different is obviously the size of the storm, because the size of the storm is set to 200 meters, which is obviously not the size of the battery hour map, but you can change that if you want to. If you want to set it to customs, you are required to add a beacon to it. You can set it up to 50 beacons, which is kind of huge and insane, but you can do that if you want to. The phase 1 radius is very important, especially in the default setting, because this basically determines on how big the storm is going to be, and that also adjusts all the other zones after that first phase. So for example, if you set a massive radius of 5,000, and then you say like, okay, I can basically set the starting phase to 5 or something, then you will still have a huge fifth zone, for example. So keep that in mind. This is very important. You cannot just basically blend that out. So if you're using the default settings, you can, kind of change around with that in the custom settings, but that's something different. The next thing is obviously delay time, and this is basically just when the storm is going to appear. This is obviously useful if you have a starting room or something like that for Zomos maps, as an example. The starting phase, I already explained that. You can basically change on where the storm is going to start. This is mainly important for the default setting, because in the custom setting, it is kind of like your choice on where you start. And the late phases move is also just important for the default settings, because if you have the custom settings, you can change that in the individual beacons. But if you have the default settings, the last 5 zones will, move like it is in the battery hour map. If you change that to no, then basically it will be like the very old storm where just basically everything shrinks into the center. And one quick thing before we move on to the beacons and the more advanced stuff. It's very important that you can't change the default settings with the beacons. So for example, if you add a beacon to your default settings, and then you change something in that beacon, that will affect the default storm. So keep that in mind if you add something like that to your map. So moving on to the Advanced Storm Beacon, and as already said, this is basically your fully customizable storm zone. So what you can do in there is basically change every setting inside one storm phrase. If you want to have obviously more than one phrase, you will need to have more beacons, because each beacon is just responsible for one storm phrase. So the first setting is phrase, which basically stands for the zone we're currently in. So phrase 1, obviously, it goes up to 50, and it will also move in the direction of 1 to 50. So the end radius obviously is a very self-explanatory option. Obviously, you can decide on how the end radius, how big it is. Obviously, you have to kind of fit it with the other storm beacons that you have, but in general, it's a very simple to understand thing. One thing to note is that we do not have a 0 setting in here. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe they added later, or it's not supposed to be in there. But the smallest size you can go through is 5 meters. The wait time is obviously the time between, for example, phrase 1 and phrase 2. And the resize time is the speed the storm closes in. Damage, obviously very self-explanatory. So one very important thing that comes now is the movement behavior, and we have 3 options in there. The first one is none, which basically does nothing, as the name already says. And then we have move randomly and move to the center or move to the beacon. And first of all, I'll explain randomly. And randomly is basically you can place the beacon wherever you want to, and it will not affect, the outcome of the storm. You would change that in the move distance with min and max settings. So you can change that up to whatever number you want, and basically the storm will randomly move in that, range. If you set it to move to beacon, then it's very important where you place the beacon, because the storm will move to that beacon. So you can basically create some patterns where the storm's going to move, but it will not be randomly in that case. So it obviously depends on you, what you want to do with it. I think it's very helpful for like zone wars maps, if you want to have a certain path they want to go along with or something like that. So yeah, that's been it. Hopefully I could help you guys. If you liked the video, then leave a like. If not, then hit the dislike button twice, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.